He was tapped to succeed legendary football coach Willie Jeffries in 2002. But now, 10 years later, South Carolina State football coach Buddy Pough is standing on his own. He has put the university on the map with championship titles, state victories, and turned it into a powerhouse of sports. I had a chance to talk with the coach about those achievements and more here in Orangeburg. All right, Mr. Pough, can you tell people who you are?
I guess I can. I'm the football coach here at South Carolina State. That's what most people know me as, but you know, I'm a husband and I've got kids and you know, we've had some good times here in Orangeburg, but I've also lived in other parts of the state. I lived in Columbia and coached at Quintin High School and USC, Fairfield Central High School, and then I get the opportunity here 10 years ago to come back, and you know, it's been a fun ride for those 10 years.
You are in your 10th season as head coach. How's it going so far?
I think it's going good. We've had some success. We've had an opportunity to graduate a lot of our players. We've had a chance to enjoy ourselves with our alumni, with our faculty and staff here. This community has welcomed me with open arms, and you know, it's been a great place to live for the last few years, along with the fact that we won a championship or two. So, you know, I don't know exactly which one of those ought to be the prominent one of the thoughts in the whole success equation, but at the same time, we have had some fun.
A lot of people think that you, during the season and off the season as well, you just play football, you just travel, you just practice. But what is a typical day for you?
Oh, a typical day for me is all kinds of things according to the time of the year. Sometimes of the year we play games, and when we're playing games, we got to prepare for those games. We do all kinds of things in that routine. That's generally a time of the year that you don't see me a whole lot because we're always in here, you know, behind closed doors, viewing film and making plans and all that kind of stuff. Then after the season, then you got a part of the year that you're recruiting and out doing alumni functions and that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's either working during the season or working outside of the season, and both of those times are pretty drastically different.
What led you back to your alma mater in 1979?
Well, I came back in '79 as an assistant with Bill Davis, and it was an opportunity at that time to come back and coach college football. I had been a high school coach for about 3 years, and was so excited I couldn't hardly talk when I got back here. But you know, that's been a long time ago now, and you know, we've been back now since 2002 for the second time, and you know, the second time's always the charm, I guess, huh?
Yes, indeed. Now, when you think about South Carolina State University, what comes to mind?
Oh gosh, the good times I had as a student, the fun times I've had with all the different teams that I've had here, either as an assistant when we were back in the late 70s, early 80s, and now as the head coach for the last 10 years. So, you know, I think of all the different kinds of things that everybody from here think about when they think about South Carolina State. You think of the one-on-one and all the great relationships and friends that you've developed over the years. And, you know, having been here as a kid, you know, when I was a little kid, you know, I even think about some of the things that went on when I was in elementary school when my dad used to bring me to games here. So it's all kinds of memories for me of South Carolina State.
Where do you see South Carolina State in 10 years?
No. I hope I see us continuing to strive for greatness. Hopefully, as a university, you'll see the university grow in a way where, you know, our enrollment is up into the maybe 9,000, 10,000 range. And, you know, I'd hope that our athletics program will continue to achieve successes that, you know, will make our entire university proud of us, and we continue to be, you know, a positive part of the university.
That's my next question. Where do you see the Bulldogs in 10 years?
I see them continuing to work to be great. Anytime you've got a program that's had the kind of success that South Carolina State football has, over the years. You always know that they'll continue to try to do some of the same kinds of things and even better. Nothing's ever good enough in this kind of line of work, and you're always trying to be better than you were before. And of course, that will continue to be a goal for this program.
You are very active in your community. How are you encouraging African Americans, particularly men, to encourage them to get a college education?
Well, I think you, first of all, have to understand that people have to desire to have whatever as far as education is concerned, and whether it be a college degree or a technical degree, whatever kind of degree that they feel most comfortable going out and trying to achieve. The one thing that we try to do here is try to open doors, try to make sure that the avenues for the college experience are there for those who'd like to have them. And it's a good bit to do with those people who have shown an ability, in their past performance to come in and do the kind of work that you got to do in a college situation. So when there are people who like to be here, I like to encourage them to come. We like to do all we can to make that possibility as accessible as possible financially and otherwise. And if they had the desire and the work ethic, then I think that that we can only encourage them to come and take a part.
What do you think about the state of education right now?
What do I think about the state of education in the state of South Carolina? What do I think about the state of education at South Carolina State? What do I think about the state of education, period?
All of the above.
Well, it's obvious that our country as a whole has its issues with education. The one thing that's different now is that the United States is no longer considered the predominant educational opportunity in the world. That's a little bit unusual to see that have come through in our lifetime, but I still think that the great thinkers of the world, the innovators of the entire world are still people who come from this part of the world. And you look at all of the things that have come about in our lifetimes, when you go from the different kinds of phones that you have out there, all of the different technologies that are there. I think all that's due to the educational system in this country now. As far as the state is concerned, I'm a little bit concerned about some of the political activism that's involved in our educational process today. I'm worried about our State Department of Education and some of the stances that they're taking on some of the issues that you have as far as our state is concerned, and actually having the best interests of public school education at heart. Then, last but not least, here at South Carolina State, I'm excited about what we've tried to get done here educationally. And as a football program, we are always about trying to make sure that our guys can go out and do a great job once they're done. We tell our guys all the time, you've got to be able to go out and actually do what your degree says you can do. It's not just the fact that you have a degree, because that'll only get you on a job. The actual information that you acquire is what you will go out and actually keep a job with. So I'm hoping that all of the guys that we put out on the street that have graduated from here will be able to go out and do what that degree says it can do at a high enough level that that people really think that it's that they're a great hire.
He was tapped to succeed legendary football coach Willie Jeffries in 2002. But now, 10 years later, South Carolina State football coach Buddy Pough standing on his own. He has put the university on the map with championship titles, state victories, and turned it into a powerhouse of sports. I had a chance to talk with the coach about those achievements and more here in Orangeburg. What was it like working under Lou Holtz?
Fun, and all kinds of other things. We had some good times and some bad times. The first year that Coach Holtz was there was not a lot of fun, and we lost all of our games that year. And anytime you're in a situation where you're losing that many games, then of course it's never a lot of fun. I think success is probably the predominant ingredient in any kind of fun kind of process. So, the fact that we were as bad as we were was not good. But then, to show you how quickly things can turn around, we go from being one of the worst teams in the SEC to one of the best teams in the SEC the next couple of years, and that was a lot of fun. So, Coach Holtz was a different story every day. He was always fun to have in staff meetings and to hear what his take was on whatever the particular issues were. You know, we understood all of his political views. We understood all his views on how to coach football. We understood all his views on whatever, you know, was in vogue at that time. So, you know, I can remember being, you know, in the office on the morning of 9/11 and having his take to be there in that staff meeting when one of the assistants came in and said, "Hey guys, somebody just flew a plane, you know, into a building in New York," and of course for us to be all there together, to go through that a tragic day together, you know, was always a day that I remember. So, you know, there are all kinds of good things and bad things that you remember about an experience. You know, that's one of those that I remember about that particular experience.
When people mention Willie Jeffries to you, what do you want them to say?
Well, I want them to say that Buddy Pough did a good job of carrying on a tradition that Coach Jeffries started here. I had the opportunity to play for Coach Jeff when I was an undergrad here in the mid 70s, early 70s actually. And then I had a chance to coach under him for a year, and then I've had a chance to be his friend for the last, I guess since I played with him in the early 70s. So it's been 30, 40 years now. And he is the face of South Carolina State football. He will always be. We are continuing trying to carry on the traditions and the legacy of South Carolina State football. He was one of the first guys to come in and bring this football program into modern times. He had had some of the same kinds of experiences before he got here that I've had before I came. And, you know, I just tried every day to continue to be the kind of person that he was and to be the kind of football coach that he was.
All right. What has the USC versus South Carolina State game taught you?
The Carolina game is a method and process for South Carolina State. When you play in a place where you can't hardly hear yourself breathe, it's a different kind of situation than what we have ordinarily in one of our football games. The first time we played them there, you know, Carolina's fans were just kind of waiting to see the slaughter. And as the game started out, you know, it didn't quite turn out to be quite that way. They would have probably been really quiet, waiting for halftime for the one-on-one and that kind of stuff. And I think maybe the first series of the game, we intercept the ball and run it almost down and score. And, you know, that was the worst possible scenario for us because at that time, the Carolina fans got real into it. And when you get into it in that stadium and then close into that stadium, it is so loud you can't hear. So we jump off sides like 3 times in a row from just not being able to hear the snap count. And from that point on, you know, we understood what it was like to be in that kind of setting. And, you know, since then, we've continued to work on making sure that we could operate in a solid way because of the fact that you might get into that kind of situation again.
All right. What's easier as the coach? Is it high school football or college football, and why?
Well, I don't know if there is an easier. Every situation's got its good times and bad times, its hard times and its not so hard times. I think you always have situations where you feel like, boy, it's a tough day today, or this is a tough situation, but you know, I don't know if it's any different. I've said a lot of times that once you turn your back on the stands, once you look out onto the field, you know, each field is 53 yards wide, 100 yards long, and the game is pretty much the same. From the Pee Wee guys to the NFL, they all compete against each other in somewhat a like manner. And although you may not be able to go into detail and do some of the intricate kinds of things, you know, in the little Pee Wee league that you can in NFL, neither can the other guy. So you got to adapt to that particular situation and do your very best there, as opposed to what you might be able to do if you were at a high level. So I think coaching football at any level is as difficult as the other.
What, you know, when you think of all your accomplishments, and that's what I'm trying to get to, you think of your championship titles and the state records, what have those accomplishments taught you?
I don't know if they've taught me much of anything except for a desire and a will to continue to achieve more. The chase for accomplishment, I think, is a lot more exciting than the actual acquiring of that particular championship or what have you. it's all in the chase. And you know, the fun part about it is trying to acquire more, trying to win more. And you know, the one thing I can tell you is that I'm as excited about winning a championship here now as I have been at any time in my career. And you know, it's still as exciting every day trying to go out and be successful.
Describe to me the following one word: football.
Championships.
South Carolina State University.
Championships.
Orangeburg.
A fun place to live. That's not one word, is it? Orangeburg. Orangeburg, home.
Okay. South Carolina State Bulldogs.
Home.
Buddy Pough.
Fun.
How many games have you coached at South Carolina State?
Don't have a clue. Somewhere around 100, maybe a little over 100.
What's your advice for future football players?
My advice for future football players, do the very best you can every day. Understand what competition's about. People out there are trying as hard to win as you are. And with that being the case, you got to compete in order to be successful.